Thanks, everyone. Glad to be here with you today talking about the 5 essentials of a team. Some of you, I know, Russell, you've heard the Strengths Finder presentation, and I've gotten to see you there. And that's a great first step, is to understand our strengths, the strengths of others, and how that partner up opportunity exists, taking that term weakness out of your vocabulary. But then how do you really build this into a strong team? And that's where Partner to Learn, what we've done is we've taken Patrick Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team, if you're familiar with Patrick Lencioni at all, which is great material, and we've turned it into the 5 essentials of a team, a more positive approach with resources that we've built out and different tools and pieces that help to carry this forward. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about those 5 essentials of a team, being trust, and that's vulnerability-based trust. What does that mean? Positive conflict, that every team must have positive conflict. Every team must have conflict, period. And positive conflict is what you're looking for, and that's centered around a formula that we've developed called MV squared plus I squared, which stands for positive conflict being about mission, vision, values, focused around ideas and issues. And then true commitment to the mission and to the team. And then accountability to one another, and we teach accountability different than anyone. We'll get to that in just a little bit. And then always focused on team results, what we did, not what I did, but what we did. What we did for the kingdom, what we did for our team, what we did for our ministry, for our business, whatever it might be. So that's the foundational piece, and we're going to take this forward and really talk again about why investing in your team, and it's to better utilize the strengths of each individual and to structure that appropriately. As Gino Wickman says with EOS, he says, as goes your leadership team, so goes the rest of your organization. So the stronger your leadership team, the stronger your team. And this really, again, is transferable to families. The stronger your family team and all the different teams you're on. It might be boards, it might be councils, it might be, again, work teams, but family is very vital there too, that these 5 essentials of a team are very, very applicable there too. And just as God tells us, again, we're one body, many parts, 1 Corinthians chapter 12. We all have our unique purpose that God has given to us. Ephesians chapter 2:10 tells us that God has created us to do good works that he's prepared in advance for us to do. So again, fulfilling that, doing that, working to our strengths, working together as a cohesive unit to glorify God. So here we go. Here's the pyramid that Lencioni talks about. Again, we're putting it in that positive sense of the 5 essentials of a team. And we're going to start with a really important base level piece of trust. And what does that mean? That is the foundation. And this is what it looks like if your team doesn't have trust, or if trust is minuscule. And it's the same thing with a family. Why families break apart most of the time is because of a lack of trust. The research out there is why marriages fall apart. The number one reason why marriages fall apart from the research is due to financial reasons. I would debate that. It's not financial reasons, but it's a lack of trust over what's happening with the finances, that we don't trust each other, the hidden accounts, or just, not on the same. So again, really goes back to that foundational level of trust. So what is positive trust? Well, again, we go to the definition. That trust is confidence among team members, that their peers' intentions are good, so you can be vulnerable with one another. And we'll talk about what vulnerable means in just a little bit. And then maybe this is how you have felt with trust. Why do I have to go first? There's no I in Team Dave as he's staring out at the killer whale. Maybe sometimes you felt that you've been alone. There may not be an I, but there's a me in team, people will say, and they do act selfishly, and unfortunately, that's when a team fails. So again, if we want to look at this, again, from that very positive level of how do we build this trust, these are the key aspects of trust on any healthy team. You acknowledge and tap into strengths. You truly know and appreciate one another. You possess vulnerability-based trust. You willingly ask for help. Admit weaknesses and mistakes. And make and receive prompt apologies. If we're going to build a foundation of trust and it's vulnerability-based trust, this is what it must look like. 1, demonstrate leadership integrity and vulnerability. And that means that people can see you sweat, that you don't have all the answers, that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to need help and to tap into those other strengths. Back in the day in college, when I was working towards an education degree to be a teacher, the mantra was, don't let the students see you sweat. Don't ever admit you're wrong. And that's terrible teaching. A really strong teacher goes to their class and says, you know what, I messed up yesterday. I need your forgiveness. We're a team. We work together. That's powerful, and that's a good leader that needs other people's help and can be vulnerable. And then you carry out multiple follow-throughs. So you finish the things you say you're going to finish. That creates trust. And then create shared experiences. How can we better work together by getting to know each other? StrengthsFinder is a great shared experience. Reading a book together, taking a retreat, working on a strategic plan together, whatever shared experience it might be. And again, these are the three things that we want to be working on. So let's take a look a bit more in depth at those three things. So again, to be vulnerable, like I said before a little bit, is you as a leader need to be vulnerable. You need to recognize the need for other strengths. Admit wrongs, mistakes, and interpersonal shortcomings. That's seeking that forgiveness. The next one, seek forgiveness and understanding if necessary. Request help from the team. Again, that adage of let them see you sweat. It's okay. You don't always have to have the answer right away. We need each other. That vulnerability-based trust. And set ego aside. Make it about the whole team, not about you. Then you have carry out multiple follow-throughs. That second piece. And one of those things is do what you say you are going to do. And there's a little resource that we teach there called Say, Do, Co. And if you can teach your team to do this, and you as an individual, your family, Say, Do, Co. means say what you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And then the co part is communicate if you can't. So that means ahead of time, you're letting them know something's come up. My child is sick in the hospital. I need help. Right now it's just difficult. I need help. So that communication piece, to be able to communicate when you can't finish something, and to do that ahead of time, because the worst thing is come to a meeting and say, I just didn't do it. So again, it's say what you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and communicate if you're having trouble, because we need the team, we need help. And then be responsible in the small and large things. So whether it be a small item or a large item, really finishing that, taking that to the finish line. It doesn't matter. That all creates trust when we do that. And design opportunities for all to demonstrate follow through, which means set people up for success. Don't bring in that new hire and give them the job that everybody hates doing. Set them up for success. Give them something that they can succeed, get their feet firmly on the ground, and then work forward from there. Work from their strengths. Set them up for success. So again, being vulnerable and having multiple follow-throughs. And then the third thing is, again, create those shared experiences. Like we're having a shared experience here today. Invite your team to a meeting like this. Do a training session with the whole team, whatever it might be. But recognize the value of that shared experience. Keep them simple but continuous. And by continuous, some teams that I work with are like, we're going to do this every week, no, that just sets yourself up for failure. Once a month, do things that are reasonable. Once every quarter, go bowling as a team. If your company's doing really well, take them on a cruise for 2 weeks, whatever it would be. Again, keep them simple but continuous. And keep goals in mind. Reward those goals that are met for the whole team. And just celebrate those things. That's a shared experience. And define what you mean by that. That we're just going to get together and we're going to let down some of the barriers. We're just going to get together and get to know each other better. That helps to create trust. So, simply put, if you want 3 trust builders, that's the left side of the screen, at least as I'm facing it here. Left side is 3 trust builders would be every member consistently follows through on their commitments. The second one, every member speaks constructive, edifying words. And the third thing for a trust builder is every member acts in the greater good for the whole team. And trust will deepen and it'll grow. Now, if you want to destroy trust on a team, look at the right side. 3 things. Members don't follow through, habitually say something, but they don't do it. They use hurtful words, and they act selfishly. So again, if you want to build that base level of trust, do those 3 things on the left side in the simplest way, and you'll have that strong foundation, or at least be working towards that strong foundation of trust. And building trust is a continuous process. Just keep on keeping on. So again, there may be a little bit of a lack of trust in this picture, and a lot of teams, we can just watch this the rest of the day. It's got to be real because it's on the internet. So there you go. We just got to keep getting up, keep moving forward. All right, so once you have that base level of trust, then we can truly have positive conflict. Again, I'll go to research, and I'll go to research on families. They will tell you that the number one indicator if a marriage is going to last is they give an argument test. The better a couple can argue together, have positive conflict, the more likely they're going to last. They're going to survive. Because what happens is if you don't have that positive conflict, you end up stuffing everything, and either you leave and you run away or it explodes someday. So again, that positive conflict, it's the same thing with our teams in the workplace or wherever you might use this, is that we need to have that positive conflict, get the ideas and the issues out on the table and really discuss them. So positive conflict, every team, and I'm going to tell you right now, if your team does not have conflict, you're not healthy. And again, I'm not talking about conflict like grade schoolers. Your dad's ugly, your mom is dumb, those types of things. My dad can beat up your dad, not that type of conflict, but positive conflict centered around the formula that I'm going to show you again here. So here we go. If you want to have positive conflict on your team, you need these 5 things. Demonstrate passion and openness in team discussions. Voice opinions, even at the risk of causing disagreement. You're all empowered to share opinions. Hold compelling meetings, we'll talk about what that means, and discuss the important issues. Put them on the table. All right, so what are the 3 tasks that you have to do? Define and demonstrate positive conflict, organize for productive conflict, and make meetings like a movie. And I'll explain what that means in just a little bit. So first of all, first task, define and demonstrate positive conflict. Need to clarify mission, vision, and values and make sure everyone understands them. That we're in alignment. Alignment is key here, to be aligned with mission, vision, values. Second thing, focus on issues and ideas, not personalities. So we want to have truth during a meeting, not politics, not trying to get your idea to win your way, but just to state the truth, state the facts, and then go with what is going to be best. And encourage the healthy conflict. So it's good to challenge each other with passion, emotion, and even frustration at times. Did Jesus have positive conflict with his disciples? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the one time he told Peter, he called him the worst thing in the world. He said, Peter, get behind me, Satan. He called Peter Satan. Why did he call him Satan? Because Peter was standing in the way of MV squared. Jesus' mission was to save the world. And Peter was saying, no way, you're not going to die. You're not going to do this. Peter was standing in the way of the mission, the vision, the values. And Jesus said, get out of the way. And it's the same thing with us and our teams. We need to have that same passion with our teams, wherever that team might be, and really have positive conflicts centered around mission, vision, values, MV squared, plus then I squared, issues and ideas. It's never about those personalities and things like that. Now, if it's a destructive behavior that someone is demonstrating, we talk about that behavior. It doesn't make the person bad, but again, that positive conflict is centered around mission, vision, values, plus ideas and issues. Then we need to organize for productive conflict. So that's producing the best possible solution in the shortest period of time. And we need to select and hold to appropriate meeting times. See, if we don't have positive conflict, what manifests on a team is artificial harmony. That's where everyone nods their head in the meeting and says, oh yeah, great idea, Russell, great idea, Aaron. And then they go in the parking lot and say, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Can you believe that, George or Sue or whatever? And they talk behind people's backs. So again, we want to get rid of that artificial harmony and have that positive, productive conflict in our meetings. Now, me, when I was a young principal, my background's education, I did the dumbest thing. I would have early morning Monday meetings before school would start. First of all, no one wanted to be there because they're coming off a weekend. They've got everything on their mind. And just when we would start to get to the productive conflict, students would start to arrive, parents would start to call, we'd be interrupted. Very dumb idea. So that was me, and I'm saying that about me. So what we did is every other Friday, we would have an early release Friday, and that became our meeting. We would have some food and beverages, and we made it more of an event where we could have that time, have that productive conflict, and really get those issues on the table and get them done. So again, look at what you're doing. Look at how you're organizing. Are you organized for productive conflict? And if you're not, evaluate that and change it. And then the third thing, make meetings like a movie. anyone here with a literature background and things like that, you know that what makes a book, a movie exciting is the conflict. Man versus man, man versus nature, man versus self, all those literary terms. But again, you want to have that healthy conflict. So like the Avengers and the superhero movies, it's always good versus evil, or the romantic comedies have the romantic tension. You know, are they going to get together? Not. Nicholas Sparks books and movies like my wife likes, you know, again, all the different tensions in there and the conflict. So again, that makes those exciting, because why it's exciting is you want to get to the resolution. You want to see what the answer is going to be. Who's going to win? You know, what's going to be the result? And that's how our meetings need to be set up. So having real-time permission, focus on the issues, model appropriate conflict behavior, build to a climax and resolution, that falling action. So this is completely a literature tool, but this is what a meeting should look like. You have exposition, you expose the issue, you dig and you get to the real issue. Use those strengths finders, use those problem identification strengths, the strategic, ideation, intellection. They get to the real issue. Then the rising action is the debate about, the discussion about that issue, and sharing ideas, bouncing ideas off, pushing on ideas, aligning it with mission, vision, values to get you to the climax, that turning point. And the climax turning point is where the light bulb clicks and everybody's in general consensus, and you say, yep, this is what we're going to do. And that's the falling action, is setting up those steps for what we're going to do to get to what? Resolution. Solving it. So again, you expose, debate them in light of mission, vision, values, ideas, and issues. Get to that turning point again where you have that solution, set specific actions, and carry those out to resolution. That's how you have positive conflict. And that's how you make a meeting like a movie. All right. Once you have the positive conflict, the third level is you want to construct commitment, true commitment. So let's take a look here. What does commitment mean? Commitment means the following: that there's clarity about direction and priorities, that there's support for group decisions, even if they initially disagreed. So even if we disagree in the beginning, in the end, we still go out unified. We go out unified together. Discussion ends with clear, specific resolutions and calls to action, those specific steps. Members leave meetings confident that their peers are completely committed, and the team follows through. That's true commitment. So let's take a look here. How do we have them? So the three tasks are achieve clarity and buy-in, bring debate to a conclusion, and commit to a decision. So in the little picture there, the chicken was involved, the pig was committed. Now, I'm not saying that any of you got to go out there and become bacon. But what I am saying is that you want to commit, that you're all in, nothing left on the table. All right. So achieve clarity and buy-in, the first task. You want to hear, consider, discuss, debate members' opinions. Everyone has a voice, and everyone needs to express that. I do not allow a meeting to go by where I don't hear everyone's voice. It can be as simple as a yes or a no, but I want to hear the voice. Head nodding is unacceptable. I want to hear a voice, that verbal commitment. Then tap into the collective wisdom of the group. There's a saying from Blanchard, Ken Blanchard out there, that none of us is as smart as all of us. So we need the collective group wisdom. We need their input. And build to a decision, not to consensus and certainty. So, and what we mean there is, don't build to where everybody's in agreement. Now, 8 out of 10 times on a healthy team, the research will tell you that everyone's in agreement, that there's consensus. But those other 2 times, you've got to make a decision. I'll get to that in a minute. You have to make a decision. So again, it's nice to have all 10 on the same page and in total 100% agreement. But what's more important is that you build to a decision, not getting everyone in 100% agreement. And you're never going to have certainty. Something can always go wrong. So if you're going to be sitting there on a decision, on a debate, on a conflict, trying to get to a resolution, and you will not do anything until you're 100% certain, well, close up the shop, because it's not going to happen. There's always going to be variables, always going to be things, and at some point in time, you just have to move on it. Now, I'm not saying be foolish in your movement, but I am saying you build to a decision, not consensus and certainty. And then bring debate to a conclusion. This is what so many teams are do so poorly. is we need to bring that debate to a conclusion. So again, make that decision despite uncertainty. A decision is better than no decision. Avoid analysis paralysis. Understand that you could be wrong. Even a wrong decision is better than no decision. It keeps you moving. Again, I've shared this with other teams, and Bob knows the answer to this, but I share this. Why is WD-40 called WD-40? It's because the first 39 times they tried to do this, it failed. And on their 40th attempt, they got water displacement. They got that ingredient right to make WD-40. That's why it's called WD-40. So again, have those 39 failures. Formula 703, same thing, 702 failures to get to where it was, or Formula 403, whatever the number is. But again, the point being is, making a decision, even a wrong decision, is better than no decision. And then align the team. So alignment is important around the mission and vision. So whatever decision you make sure it's aligned with your mission and vision and your values. If it's not, that can be destructive. And in the end, leaders make the final decision. Leaders have to lead. Make that decision. And then the third thing, and you can read through the cartoon on your own as I talk, most people do, but I'm going to share here, commit then to that decision. So in order to have true commitment, it means you maximize clarity and destroy ambiguity. The clearer the steps, the actionable items, who owns them, by when, etc., the more likely that this will succeed. Breed confidence in your team that what we are doing, the decisions we are making, will succeed. And even if they don't, it'll be all right. We'll work around it. We'll figure it out. Seize the opportunities. Don't sit on those things. Seize them. Grab them. Be proactive. And then avoid that indecision again, which is often caused by fear, leads to panic, and it leads to death. So I'm going to give a real life world example, and it's pretty harsh, it's pretty graphic, but the real life world example is simply this, is that there was a woman in upstate New York. She was driving early 40s, driving her SUV Mercedes-Benz, and she got too close to the railroad tracks, and the lights are dinging, the arm bar is going, everything's flashing. The car behind her, the man is signaling her, pull back. He pulls back, gives her space, and he's signaling, pull back. And he's getting more frantic with it as the train is approaching. Well, inexplicably, she gets out of the car. She takes a little walk, looks at the back, the arm bar's down in back of her SUV, lights are dinging again. She gets back in the car, and she hits the accelerator, pulls forward. The train hits her, killing her, and injuring 9 on the train, derailing things, and just a horrible accident and a terrible tragedy. Well, what happened there is she had indecision because she was afraid. All the lights dinging, fear was entering, she was afraid. Then she got into the car and she panicked. She might have been trying to hit the reverse or whatever, but she ends up hitting the accelerator and going forward in a moment of panic, leading to death. It's the same thing with our organizations, our teams, our families. Many times we live in the world of indecision because we're afraid. We're afraid of how someone's going to hear it. We're afraid of repercussions. We're afraid of reprisal because we're too open or too honest. We're afraid that if we have to cut a position that someone's not going to like us. I could go on. The list could go on. So we have fear. And so we have that indecision because of fear, leading then to the moment of panic. Once you realize that your finances are such that you can't keep the lights on and can't keep the doors open, now it's too late. The tough decisions that we maybe had to make 6 months earlier, now it's too late, and then we end up closing the doors, and our organization dies, or whatever it might be. So again, we need to avoid that indecision, which is often caused by fear, leading to panic and leading to potential death. Make those decisions and move forward. That's true commitment. So be decisive, right or wrong. Make a decision. The road of life is paved with flat squirrels who couldn't make a decision. So I don't want any of you out there to be a flat squirrel. Okay, we ought to make that decision and move forward. All right, then the fourth level is accountability. So accountability, again, we teach different than anyone out there, but let's take a look at this little video here, and I think this is sometimes how we feel with accountability. So I'm going to play this for you. It's a Pepsi commercial. See if this is sometimes how you feel with accountability.
Sit. Which one of you took all the Pepsi from the machine? Who did this? I see. You're all expelled.
It's me. It's him. 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 It's him.
Sometimes how you feel with accountability. That you stand up, or that you're just even standing still and everyone else takes a step back. That accountability is trying to catch someone doing something wrong. It's trying to, again, show people up. That's not true accountability. True accountability is when you value collective success more than individual achievement. You don't let your teammates down. You willingly challenge one another about their plans and approaches in light of the mission. All are held to the same high standard, and you openly address one another's deficiencies or unproductive behaviors. See, what manifests, what happens is if you do not have true accountability, you end up with low standards. Okay, if you're using a room, a shared space in your office building or whatever, and one group doesn't clean it up, then the next group comes and says, well, they didn't clean it up, so I'm not going to clean it up. The next group, same thing, and pretty soon you've got a mess everywhere. And those of you that have a shared sink area, wherever you're at, even in your homes possibly, you know that as soon as one person doesn't do the dishes, all of a sudden they all pile up. And maybe then, so again, we want to have accountability because that leads to high standards. If you do not have accountability, there's a mess everywhere, no one's doing their work, and eventually you're going to close your doors. So what is true accountability? And here's how we teach it different, is we're going to engage in the highest form of praise, we're going to be willing to encourage and help peers, and we're going to destroy ambiguity. So the first thing that's different about teaching accountability, and it's a paradigm shift how we teach it, is that you want to engage in the highest form of praise. So when you hold someone accountable, what you're really saying is that person is important and what they're doing is important. If you do not hold people accountable, what you're really saying is, you don't matter, George or Sue, because I'll find someone else to do it. But when we hold people accountable, what we're really saying is they are important and what they're doing is important. So again, accountability, highest form of praise. We need our people. And then we need to have the whole team holding each other accountable. It's not just the leader, it's the whole team. So we're all holding each other, positive peer pressure. And we need to tolerate that interpersonal discomfort and have those, what sometimes we might think is difficult conversations, but they're really not. They're holding people to that highest form of praise and saying they're important and what they're doing is important. And one way to approach those, one of the resources that we teach, and by the way, when we do this with a whole team, we do a 4-hour presentation, a workshop with this, give you a plethora of resources, get everybody united, working forward together. So again, really powerful piece. But one of the resources that we teach is called EFA, empathy, fact, action. And what that means is a proactive way. It's a way to think about how to approach people. So let's say Bob doesn't get something done. He's late on a project. So I go to Bob and I say, Bob, I really needed this project on Friday. It's Monday. Where is it? Bob's like, oh, yeah, I know. I had this family thing come up. I had a few things arise. I'm so sorry. And I use empathy then. I say, Bob, I've been there too. I know what that's like. Yep, I've had that, my children, etc. I can empathize. Then the fact is, I say to Bob, the fact is, Bob, this is a really important document that we need to close the deal with this customer. They were hoping to get it Friday. I know, I think we can still get it to them tomorrow. So the action going forward is, Bob, please get this to me by the end of the day today so we can send it off by tomorrow. And in the future, I'll give them a future action. The future action is say, do, co, Bob. Remember, say, do, co. Say what you're going to do what you're going to do, and communicate if you can. So in the future, Bob, if something like this comes up too, just let me know ahead of time and we'll figure it out. That's why we have a team. So empathy, fact, action gives you a straightforward, rational, productive way to approach accountability. That, yep, we can empathize, say, yep, been there before. However, the facts are we needed this project. So therefore, here are the specific action steps to take us to the finish line. EFA. And then accountability, the third piece here, skipped one too fast, is you want to destroy ambiguity, the enemy of accountability. So we need to have clear processes. We need to have clear ownership. There's a saying out there that if everyone owns it, if everyone's responsible for it, no one's responsible for it. So again, clear ownership, clear dates, clear processes. The clearer that all, the higher your accountability, the more successful you're going to be as a team. So here we go. We're getting to the last level of the pyramid. So we have the base level of trust. Once we have vulnerability-based trust, we can have positive conflict centered around mission, vision, values, ideas, and issues, MV squared plus I squared, leading to true commitment. Then to the highest form of praise, accountability, to get us to team results. So again, if a team is really focused on team results, here's what you'll see. You're making willing sacrifices for the good of the team. You know, someone's willing to give up part of their budget to help another area, or some of their time to stay late to help someone else. You have a reputation as a team for high performance. You consistently achieve your objectives. Your morale is significantly affected. If you fail to do something, that means if one person fails, the whole team feels it. And there's a sadness, there's a disappointment that we didn't meet every piece of this. And we quickly point out contributions of others while not drawing attention to self. See, what happens on an unhealthy team is that what happens here is you end up, if it's unhealthy and not focused on team results, you end up with status and ego. That's where I sit back and say, whew, I did my job. I got my stuff done. I don't know what's wrong with Aaron. You know, the fact that he can't get it done, that's not on me. I did my job. I did all that I needed to do. That's an unhealthy team because it's always about what we did together or what we didn't do together. I like to use a football analogy that when is a wide receiver upset when his team wins? When he doesn't get enough touches or looks or balls thrown his way. And when is a wide receiver happy when his team loses? When he sets an NFL record. That's unhealthy because that's about his own status and ego rather than the team. So again, the team is always about what we did. So just one slide here on results is the simple task, or focus on the collective results. Reward only behaviors and actions that contribute to the team. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't reward individual behaviors and great things that individuals accomplish, but you always link it to what this did for the team. Here's what Sue did, and here's how it helped the team. Thanks be to God for Sue on our team, because here's how our team is succeeding with her. And develop and share appropriate metrics and objectives. So the clear dashboards, the clear goals that you have for your team. And ways to do that, some tools that you can do and use would be public declaration of results. Here's how we're achieving our results. Having a very clear company scorecard, dashboard to show those metrics. Those are all things that can help keep you focused on team results. And that's it. Those are those 5 essentials. And I'm going to kind of wrap this up and then open up for some questions and discussion here. But again, we trust, conflict, commitment, accountability, and team results. So what is your team going to look like? Those superheroes, dodgeball, Wizard of Oz, or bottom right, Jesus' team with his disciples, knowing that Jesus' team with his disciples was not perfect. Jesus was perfect, but his team wasn't. Teams are never perfect here, this side of heaven, but we can get through it. And this is a great resource to help you strengthen that team and to be successful. So I'm going to pick on the Wizard of Oz here, just to give you a clear picture. The Wizard of Oz. They had a united mission. They all wanted to get to see, think about that, they all wanted to get to see the wizard. But they all had individual roles and goals. Dorothy wanted to get home. The lion wanted courage. The Scarecrow wanted a brain. The Tin Man wanted a heart. They all had individual goals, but they worked collectively to get to, again, the wizard to accomplish those things. And they were stronger as a team because they protected each other. They got through pitfalls. They got past the wicked witch, etc., because they worked together as a team. We want our teams working together, united in mission, vision, values, focused on issues and ideas with that positive conflict, leading towards those team results with the other components there. So again, build that. Invest in your team. Develop a smart team. Assess and adjust. There are other tools out there that we can provide. High performance team assessment. Clifton Strengths is a great resource. Strategic unified planning, and I'll show some more in a minute. But I want to wrap this up biblically. This is what's so great about AFB, and thank you, Bob, for this forum that you provide for us to be able to do this. So biblically speaking, I think you can relate this very clearly. And I'm going to just ask this rhetorical question. Did Jesus want to die? And the answer is no. No human being, and Jesus was true man, true human being, wants to die. Aaron Ralston, if you're familiar with that name, he fell into a valley down a crevice, and a boulder fell on his arm, and he sawed through his arm with a Swiss Army knife to escape, to live. I mean, the will for life is huge, and Jesus, being true man, did not want to die. So on the night in which he was betrayed, that Thursday evening, he took his inner circle of disciples deep into the Garden of Gethsemane with him. And the inner circle were Peter, James, and John, because he trusted them. But in the end, could he trust them? When he came back after praying, how did he find them? He found them sleeping. And he said, couldn't you even stay awake with me for an hour? Well, there was a broken trust there. So Jesus went to the one person that he truly can trust. And Bob brought this up in the beginning, that the hope for eternity, and Jesus has bridged that gap so that we can talk to that one person for sure. We know is always there, and Jesus is always there for us. Please don't get me wrong on that, but he talks to his Father in heaven, his Heavenly Father, because he knows there's complete trust. Did he have positive conflict with his Father? Yes, he did. That night in the garden, he said, Heavenly Father, if there is a way, take this cup from me. If there's a different way to do this, please. And he was talking about the mission, the vision, the values. He was talking about the issue he was facing, taking on the sin of the world, the pain, the torture that was coming. And he said, if there was another way. And not only did he do this once, but he did it 3 times with Father. And every time his Father said, nope, I have to hold you accountable, son. You're the one. And it was the highest form of praise. If you don't save the world, Jesus, no one will. So he held Jesus accountable, highest form of praise. Did Jesus commit? Yep, all the way to the cross, all the way to that agonizing death and ultimate victorious resurrection. Why did he do it? Did he do it for himself, for his ego, for his status? Nope, he did it to save each one of us. He did it for Aaron, Russell, Bob, Diane, who is here, if she's still there, myself, others. He did it for all of the world, not for himself. So biblically speaking, I think this is a great model to, again, build that team and to have that strong, united front going forward, built upon trust, conflict, commitment, accountability, leading to those team results. With all of that being said, again, ready for action, things that you can do, and please reach out. We'd be happy to work with you in any way, shape, or form. But the Clifton Strengths Assessment, as Bob was talking about, one-on-one coaching for individuals with strengths, 4-hour team session with strengths, this 4-hour presentation, the workshop with team building, the 5 essentials of a team, other things that we offer, executive coaching, strategic planning, etc., to help your team be healthy and successful, to fulfill what God has put before you. With all that being said, I just would love to open it up for questions, comments, and thoughts. And then, Bob, I'll turn it back over to you here if you want to push us forward that way.